All right, listeners, ready for a deep dive into what's happening down in Cabo San Lucas? It's a developing situation, and
Definitely keeping an eye on this one.
yeah, it's like something out of a movie.
Really is.
A fire,
Yeah.
toxic smoke, and now there's even talk of sabotage.
Oh, wow.
We've got a whole bunch of news reports and local accounts come out of Cabo San Lucas, and
Yeah, it sounds pretty bad.
it does. So today we're cutting through the noise to help you understand
Right.
the key facts, the potential fallout, and all the big
A
questions
lot of questions.
surrounding this whole event.
For sure.
So let's start with the fire itself. It broke out at the La Candelaria landfill in Cabo San Lucas on December 11th, 2024.
Just a few days ago.
Yeah, and it burned for 3 days before firefighters could even get it under control.
Wow.
But here's the thing. Even though officials say it's controlled, now the smoke is still a huge problem.
The smoke is what's really lingering.
Absolutely. The reports coming in are filled with these really vivid descriptions.
Yeah.
Talking about thick gray smoke just blanketing whole neighborhoods.
And which ones are we hearing are being hit the worst?
El Medano and Equidal seem to be taking the brunt of it.
Oh, man.
And get this, Sarek, the Centro de Energía Renovable y Calidad Ambiental,
Okay.
which is a major environmental group in the area.
Right.
They're saying that the air pollution levels are the worst they've ever recorded in Los Cabos.
Wow.
Like off the charts, bad. They actually issued a purple alert on the air quality index.
Purple.
That's as bad as it gets.
So what does that mean if you're down there?
Basically, the air quality is considered hazardous even for healthy people. So you can imagine what that means for anyone with respiratory problems or other health issues.
Yeah, you got to be extra careful.
For sure. So if you were in Cabo right now,
Yeah.
you'd be advised to stay indoors as much as you can.
Yeah.
Wear a mask if you have to go outside, and really just limit any outdoor activities.
Got it.
And both the local government,
Mm.
the Ayuntamiento de Los Cabos, and Colectivo Pericu,
Who are they?
they're a local news and environmental advocacy organization.
Okay.
They're both really urging people to take those precautions.
It sounds pretty serious.
It is.
Yeah.
And here's where things get even more concerning. This isn't an isolated incident. This is actually the second major landfill fire in Los Cabos in just a few weeks.
Really?
Yeah, the first one happened in San Jose del Cabo on November 20th.
So 2 fires in such a short time.
Right. It makes you wonder what's going on.
Yeah, that can't be a coincidence.
Exactly. It suggests a much bigger issue, maybe with how these landfills are being managed.
But mismanaged.
Right. And Circa is actually accusing the La Candelaria landfill of not even meeting basic Mexican environmental standards.
Oh, wow.
They specifically mentioned something called Norma Oficial Mexicana, NOM 083, Samarnat 2003.
Okay, what is that?
It's basically a set of rules and regulations for how landfills have to operate to minimize their environmental impact.
So they're saying this landfill isn't compliant with those standards.
That's right, which raises some serious questions.
Mhm.
Are we talking safety violations, environmental hazards?
Yeah, what are the implications here?
Well, if a landfill isn't meeting those standards, it could mean a whole bunch of things. Improper waste sorting,
Right.
inadequate containment systems, lack of monitoring,
Oh.
emergency protocols. All of these things could lead to a higher risk of fires, groundwater contamination, air pollution, you name it.
So it sounds like this landfill was kind of a disaster waiting to happen.
It's a real possibility. And to make things even more interesting, there's a new twist to this story, the possibility of sabotage.
Sabotage.
Yep, Alberto Rentería Santana, the Secretary General of Los Cabos, has publicly said that he suspects the fire was set on purpose.
Intentionally.
Yeah, and he's pointing the finger at the previous company that was managing the landfill, a company called Dorado Atardecer.
Okay.
Apparently, their contract was recently canceled because of some serious problems with how they were running things.
Oh, so he's suggesting that this company might have set the fire out of revenge.
That's a bold accusation, for sure.
It is.
And Rentería Santana didn't hold back when he described the state of the landfill under their management. He said, I'm quoting here, verdaderos basureros muy descuidados y en condiciones ambientales de desastre.
Which basically means...
Truly neglected garbage dumps in disastrous environmental conditions.
Wow. So could there be any truth to this sabotage theory? What would their motive even be?
So we've got this landfill that was apparently full of problems. A company gets their contract canceled, and now there's this huge fire. And the Secretary General is saying it might be sabotage. It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, and it's not just about environmental damage and health risks. This fire is going to hurt Cabo's reputation as a tourist destination.
That's a good point. Cabo's known for its beautiful beaches and clean water.
Right.
Images of smoke billowing into the sky don't exactly scream vacation paradise.
Definitely not. It's a PR nightmare. And it brings up a bigger issue that a lot of tourist spots face. How do you balance the money tourism brings in with protecting the environment?
It's a tough balance. You've got businesses, especially in the tourism industry, that rely on visitors to stay afloat.
Yeah, any disruption can really hurt them.
And in a place like Cabo, where tourism is so important,
Huge part of the economy.
the stakes are even higher.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have to think about the health of the residents and the tourists.
Absolutely.
When the air quality is that bad, it's a public health emergency.
For sure.
So it's a real dilemma. But going back to the sabotage theory, I'm still trying to understand the motive. If this company already lost their contract, why would they risk setting a fire? Wouldn't that just make things worse for them?
That's a good question. It seems counterintuitive, but remember, these waste management contracts can be really profitable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they saw sabotage as a way to disrupt the new management, create chaos, and maybe even get back in control.
Like a scorched earth strategy. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. But we have to be careful about jumping to conclusions. There's no proof yet that the company is involved. Right. We need to separate the accusations from the facts. But the Secretary General's statement does raise some serious questions that need to be investigated. And even if the fire wasn't intentional, the fact that it happened at all points to some problems.
You mean systemic problems?
Yeah, it seems like there's been a pattern of neglect or mismanagement at this landfill. This is the second major fire in just a few weeks. That's not just bad luck.
Definitely not.
It suggests a lack of oversight, inadequate safety measures, or maybe even ignoring environmental regulations.
So even if it wasn't sabotage, it could still be negligence with really bad consequences.
Exactly. And that brings up an even bigger question. What can be done to stop this from happening again?
Are we talking stricter regulations, better enforcement, more investment in waste management? What would a real solution look like?
It's going to take a multifaceted approach. First, there needs to be a thorough investigation into what caused this fire and how the landfill is being run. We need to understand what went wrong and who is responsible.
Accountability is important, but what kind of concrete changes need to happen?
Well, we need to start enforcing environmental regulations. If a landfill is breaking those rules, there need to be consequences. Fines, penalties, maybe even shutting down the facility.
Makes sense. But enforcement might not be enough. What about the issue of how much waste is being produced and how it's disposed of? Cabo's a tourist town. Lots of people coming and going, lots of consumption and lots of trash.
You're right. Waste management isn't just about dealing with the trash that's already there. It's about reducing how much waste we create in the first place. And that requires a change in mindset for both residents and visitors.
So promoting recycling, composting, reducing single-use plastics, maybe even encouraging businesses to be more sustainable.
Exactly. Creating a culture of sustainability where everyone takes responsibility for their impact. And that includes tourists.
Because tourists often have a disposable mentality when they're on vacation.
Yeah.
They don't think about the long-term consequences.
Right. So how do you change that mindset? Well, education is a big part of it. Hotels, tour operators, even local businesses can inform visitors about responsible waste management and sustainable practices.
So giving them information about recycling and composting, encouraging reusable water bottles and bags, showcasing local initiatives that are making a difference.
Exactly. Making sustainability visible and accessible. And it's also about appealing to people's sense of responsibility.
Making them feel like they're part of the solution, not the problem.
Right. Because ultimately, we're all in this together. Residents, business owners, tourists, we all have a stake in protecting the environment.
It's a powerful message. It makes you wonder if this fire, as tragic as it is, could be a turning point for Cabo San Lucas, a wake-up call that leads to real change.
It's possible. Crises often force us to face uncomfortable truths and think about our priorities. And out of that can come innovation, creativity, and a renewed commitment to building a more sustainable future.
All right, so what other layers are we talking about here?
Well, so far we've been focused on the immediate crisis, right? The fire, the smoke, the sabotage theory.
Right.
But to really grasp the whole situation, we need to think about the long-term consequences.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, Cabo San Lucas depends a lot on tourism, and tourism depends a lot on perception. Even if the fire is put out and the air clears, the damage to Cabo's image might stick around.
You're saying people might be hesitant to vacation in a place that just had a big environmental disaster.
Exactly. Tourists want to go to paradise, not somewhere they have to worry about air quality and health risks. This could lead to cancellations, less tourism revenue, and even affect future investments in the area.
Wow, that's a big deal. It's like a domino effect. The immediate crisis triggers all these other problems that could impact the economy, people's jobs, and even the community as a whole.
Right. It's a reminder that environmental issues are rarely isolated. They're connected to economic, social factors, even politics.
So this fire in Cabo is like a small-scale example of a much bigger problem: the conflict between development, protecting the environment, and economic growth.
Exactly. And it's not just Cabo. Lots of communities around the world are struggling with this, especially places that rely on tourism.
It makes you wonder if there's a way to break out of that cycle. Can you have a successful tourism industry without hurting the environment?
It's a tough question, but I think the answer is yes. It requires a fundamental shift in how we think about tourism.
So what would that look like? What needs to change?
We need to move away from mass tourism, which prioritizes short-term profits over long-term sustainability.
So instead of just trying to get as many visitors as possible, focus on quality over quantity.
Right. Attract tourists who are environmentally conscious, respect the local culture and environment, and are willing to spend their money in a way that benefits the community.
So ecotourism, sustainable travel, community-based tourism, those are all part of it.
Exactly. And it also means investing in things that support sustainable practices: renewable energy, water conservation, waste reduction, responsible land management.
That sounds like a big change.
Mm.
Do you think a place like Cabo San Lucas that's built its reputation on traditional tourism is ready for that?
It won't be easy.
Yeah.
There will be pushback from those who benefit from the way things are now, but I think there's a growing awareness, especially among younger generations, that we need to do things differently.
They're the ones who will inherit the planet, so it makes sense that they care about its future.
Right. And they're also the ones looking for authentic and meaningful travel experiences that go beyond just beaches and drinks.
So maybe this fire in Cabo, as tragic as it is, could actually be what starts a real conversation about the future of tourism there.
It's definitely possible. Crises often make us face hard truths and reconsider what's important. And that can lead to innovation, new ideas, and a commitment to building a better future.
It's a hopeful message in the midst of all this uncertainty.
It is. And it's a message that goes beyond Cabo San Lucas. It's a call to action for everyone, no matter where you live, to think about how we impact the planet and make choices that support a more sustainable future.
Well said. This deep dive has been eye-opening. We've gone from a fire in a landfill to a discussion about environmental responsibility, sustainable tourism, and the choices we all make as consumers and travelers.
It's been a fascinating look at all the complex and interconnected factors that shape our world.
And for our listeners, we hope this deep dive has informed you and inspired you to take action. Make more conscious choices in your own lives and be part of the solution.
Because in the end, the future of our planet depends on all of us working together towards sustainability.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the smoke signals of Cabo San Lucas. We hope you'll join us again for more explorations of the issues that matter.
Until next time, keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep making a difference.